How well do I know my reading taste? I have a pretty high expectation for 5-star reads, but can I trust my instincts in predicting said reads? That is the question we'll be exploring this week, in which I'll be reading books that I expect to wow me, reignite my love of reading, and make me feel like I am part of the story as an omniscient character watching it all unfold from the sidelines. As always, this is an all spoiler-free reading vlog. I have just made my afternoon coffee. It slaps every time, what else can I say? I don't want to make any promises, but I'm expecting great things. I'm expecting great things for this vlog. I have picked out 4 books. Not sure if I'm gonna get to them all during this week. That would be great, but I try to film these videos within about a span of weeks, so it just depends on how long these take me. First up we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which I do want to prioritize because I know that this has been really popular recently. I love you, Abby Jimenez. My Lovely Wife, I Doubt That by Samantha. My voice just cracked, did you hear that? I have also downloaded the Finley Donovan novella that takes place in between the 3rd and the 4th book, which should be a pretty quick read. And Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, which I think is the one I'm going to start with. Let me set you guys up so I can talk to you more about it. This was actually my spring TBR, but I have a good reason for why I didn't read it. I forgot that I had wanted to save this for June for the Buzzword Readathon, which is to read a book with repeating words in the title. It's like that prompt was written for this book, come on. I've heard so many great things about this novel. I believe we follow 2 friends who met when they were children, but then they fell out of touch, but then came together years later to create a video game. I feel like I am just going to really love this, not only because of all the rave reviews, but also because I feel like this has the potential to offer a lot of unique content in terms of it focusing on a friendship over a romantic relationship, and how a video game is literally a central aspect in this novel, which you don't really see a lot in literary fiction, sci-fi, sure, but as a micro gamer that only really plays The Sims, but I would say knows an adequate amount about just video games in general. I know that there's commentary to be made about electronic games, which I'm expecting and hoping that this has. I am obviously so excited to read books that I think I'm going to thoroughly enjoy, but I am also just excited to be filming a reading vlog. It's been a while. I feel like these videos are a bit more chill, as I just get to hold you guys captive for like a week and chat your ear off about what I'm reading. But I also do have a few fun things planned to do throughout the vlog, so look forward to that. But for the rest of the evening, I think I'm just gonna cozy up with this first book, my coffee, which has probably gone cold by now, and start reading. Let's get to it. The first section is titled Sick Kids. Am I going to cry? I have entered my crying era. Ever since 4th Wing, I keep crying over books. Man, if there's one thing I can count on in this life, I think it's my reading taste. I am loving Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. You just know a book is in fave territory alert when time's flying by and you're just... I will say, I know this book is purely about friendship, but after that first chapter, the romantic in me was like, these two would be perfect together. Because the way in which Sam describes Sadie is with such specific detail that only someone super invested in another person, such as a partner, would notice. But then again, I can also see how those observations can feed into this narrative around how there's love not only in romantic relationships, but platonic as well. There's also been some really clever writing elements in here. In this section of the book, the author included this code which Sadie basically wrote to communicate with Sam. I don't know much about coding. I don't have any interest in learning about coding. It's a bit too complicated for what I would call a fun time. But at one point in my life, I did know very basic coding stuff. I don't even have the right words. But even I, an amateur, could read this code, and I just thought that was such a fun little element. I agree that you don't really need to know much about video games to read this, but if you do, I do think this would just hit on another level, as you would be able to appreciate all of the references and history. For example, one of my favorite quotes that really struck me, I was like, I couldn't have said it better myself, was friendship is like a Tamagotchi, meaning that without upkeep and attention, your friendship's going to die. I love it when you get attached to not just the main characters in books, but also the side characters as well. Marks, he's got me intrigued. He's got me intrigued. Again, I'm really enjoying it. I cannot wait to pick it back up. I think you can just tell from like my mannerism that I'm just excited to continue reading this. Later today, I'm meeting up with, speaking of friendship, my best friend who's in town, and we're going to have a cute little reading picnic moment. I am dragging her along with me to do this. I'm like, this is what we will be doing. And she was like, okay. I mean, Gabrielle Zevin said it best. Friendship is like a Tamagotchi. And what else would I do with the Tamagotchi than control it? I am obviously kidding, if that was not apparent. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, we have our cute little picnic set up. Jax, what are you reading? Hi, Jax.
Hello. I'm reading Fourth Wing.
Did you know? I was waiting to tell you this. This is the first book that has made me cry.
Really?
Yeah.
I just told you I was emotional.
She was literally just telling me like how she's been like so emotional lately, and I wanted to be like, oh my god, same, because I did read this not too long ago.
Yeah.
But I have read sad books, like really depressing stuff. Fourth Wing, dragons, first thing that made me cry.
I was told I need to get 100 pages in, so that's my goal.
Yes,
today.
I told her she needs to give it 100 pages, and then that's when it starts getting good. My book is about friendship, actually.
Oh, that's
yeah.
so fair.
Excuse the outfit change. It is later, but I just wanted to get into some comfy clothes. This is going to be a pretty quick update as I am exhausted and I am also only like 50 pages farther. Jax and I did read some, but we mostly just chit-chatted, which I kind of expected us doing. This book reminds me of Little Life, except less depressing, but in that both novels follow college-aged characters and the highs and lows of friendship. I've really enjoyed so far how the author has depicted these characters. Like, I've seen some people describe these characters as unlikable, which sure, but if these characters are unlikable, then humans in general are unlikable. And maybe I've just read one too many thrillers where we're reading from the serial killer's point of view, but these characters haven't done anything where I'm like, you're a terrible person. They're people, fictional people, who sometimes make mistakes, which is realistic and relatable. In my opinion, they're merely acting human. If I had to rate this right now, I'd give it 5 stars. I'm loving it so much. I'll probably read a bit more tonight, but I am also kind of exhausted and I should probably start going to bed before 2 a.m. So maybe I'll turn in early actually. That is unlikely. Hello, good morning. I am loving the fit today. The shorts kind of giving Cirque du Soleil vibes, but I am kind of here for it. I just got back from Target and properly got ready for the day. I just needed to get some household goods, though I didn't find litter, and I am kind of upset. I think I'm gonna have to order some litter. How did I even get on this tangent? Do you guys like tangents? Let me know. I have a fun activity planned for today, but first I need to give you all an update on tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. You see, when a novel is shaping up to be a 5-star read, the last fourth of the book tends to either go one of 2 ways. Either the story suddenly gets somehow better than it already was, or the bliss of the first 3/4 of the book dissipates and what is left is a monotonous story. This was sadly the later. I still thoroughly enjoyed it for the most part, but I am going to give this a 4.5 star. What was with that whole 1800s Americans pioneer section? That was interesting, but I did really appreciate the commentary around sexism in the gaming industry, as that is prevalent in other types of entertainment media and not just in gaming. For instance, you can see an overlap between how many video games and movies are built from the male gaze, meaning they are catered towards a male audience and often objectify women in the process. I could hop on a whole other tangent about the male gaze, specifically in films. It is disgusting, but most of the book I found engaging and I thoroughly enjoyed my time, so 4.5 stars. Next, I'm gonna pick up Veronica Ruiz Breaks the Bank, which is the novella that takes place in between the 3rd and 4th Finley book and follows Veronica, who, if you have not had the pleasure of meeting, is basically Finley's cozy mystery sidekick. I have not given a Finley book below a 5 star. Whoa, I know, that's an unpopular opinion, but statistically speaking, this book has the highest chance of being a 5 star out of all the books in my TBR. I'm going to start with the audiobook. I might switch to the Kindle later, but I want to work on my current crochet project for a bit. I have been learning how to crochet through Skillshare, who I am so happy to be partnering with for this section of the video. I feel like there are certain skills that are best to learn through visual and auditory means, such as crocheting, and through Skillshare's online classes, I've been able to learn this skill in a streamlined process. This has been something that I've been wanting to learn how to do for years, and I am kind of obsessed now. For those who don't know, Skillshare is the largest online community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. Skillshare can help you take your careers, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustle to the next level. Skillshare has truly an abundance of classes to choose from in genres such as creative writing, photography, design. I am currently taking the amigurumi crochet masterclass from total beginner to expert, where I am learning how to crochet a variety of cute little amigurumis, along with how to read crochet patterns in general, which I have found to be really helpful. I have already learned how to make this cute little guy right here who turned out way better than I ever could have thought would be possible. Like, I made this with my 2 hands and yarn, all thanks to Skillshare. My current project in the works is the flamingo. Yes, I want a whole little zoo of amigurumis. What I love about Skillshare's philosophy is that they aim to turn I want tos into I made it happen. And taking this class and learning how to crochet is really a perfect example of that. And since summer's here, it is really the perfect time of year to explore your passions and discover new hobbies. I personally plan on further honing my crocheting this summer. Again, I am obsessed. It's so therapeutic. The first 500 people to use my link in the description and will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so get started today. Again, thank you so much Skillshare for sponsoring this section of the video. All right, I'm gonna put in my earbuds, turn on Veronica, my Skillshare class, and work my flamingos up. I think I may also let the rabbits run around. They'd enjoy that. What did I say? Do I know my reading taste or what? First 5-star of the video. Part of me feels like I shouldn't rate this 5 stars, but I can't change the way how this little novella made me feel. I had a blast reading it. I love the characters. No notes. So I thought that since this was released in between the 3rd and 4th Finley book, that this took place after the 3rd installment. My bad, that was not the case. This is actually a prequel to the Finley Donovan series. It ends with Veronica meeting Finley, but I do think that El Cosmano released this at a good time because if I remember correctly, I believe in the 3rd installment, there was some type of cliffhanger around Veronica's character. We didn't really learn anything new about her character, so if you want to skip this, like, you're totally fine. I don't think that would hinder your reading experience of the rest of the series. And of course, there's a little mystery we follow involving a situation at the bank. Like, you don't need to read this book, but if you enjoy her character, read this. But this was really the perfect novella for me. Like, I want more Finley Donovan novellas. 5 stars. Guys, look what came in the mail. The box underneath is my letter. But also a book outlet package. Wonder how that happened. I can't resist their deals. My tea bag carts may be full, but they're not currently overflowing, so I feel like it's okay. I've not reached the point yet where my book buying has exceeded my book consumption. And obviously I have to show y'all, or it's like, did it ever really happen? 3 out of these books are fantasy. Am I like finally entering my fantasy era? I did pick up Iron Flame. The edges, the sprayed edges, what? After y'all's comments, I'm feeling much better about this book. It's more than likely not going to be as great as 4th Wing, but I have already formed this attachment to the characters and even more so the dragons. Why do I want to cry every time I talk about this book? Not this book, 4th Wing. Very excited about this. There's like dust on my book. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe you can see it in the light, but it's coated in dust. That's new. I also picked up Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I know that this is a fantasy or romantasy that involves rival journalists who send letters back and forth to each other in this world where there's a war going on between the gods. I was instantly hooked by that literary element. That is just right up my alley. And I've heard amazing things about this book as well, so I'm excited to give it a go, even if it does kick in my seasonal allergies. Might as well do all the fantasy first. Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. Now this is a book that I probably wouldn't have picked up if it weren't for BookTube because it involves fairies or fae. I don't really know what the difference is. Maybe my fantasy readers can explain that to me. Like, I know the word fae was derived from fairies, but I've always thought of fae as like these anthropomorphic creatures, whereas fairies as more human, but just with magic and wings and fairy dust, Tinkerbell, basically. But all that's to say that I tend to avoid books that either mention fairies or fae because every book I've read with fae, and I recognize that this is not a fair judgment because it's only been 1 book, but every book I've read, I haven't enjoyed. Maybe I just haven't read the right books yet with fair fairies. I mean, I've only read 1, so I definitely haven't. But I believe this novel is a historical fantasy mixed Regency romance that revolves around this girl who was cursed by a fairy, and so now she only has half a soul. Enter in the male love interest, who is this magical sorcerer guy, and it sounds like, I don't know, does she fall in love, but like she only has half a soul, so can she fall in love? I also just love the design of this cover, which may have been the deciding factor, but everyone I've heard talk about this has enjoyed it, so I'm hoping I will too. This is another book I bought because of BookTube. Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, because I've heard that this book is kind of akin to a Taylor Jenkins Reid novel. This seems like one of those novels that explores individuals within a family and the relationships between said family. This story starts off in a cherry picking farm, love the vibes, in the spring of 2020, where the mother is recalling the tale of this famous actor she used to date. This is the first time she's ever told her daughters about all of this, but you know, COVID, isolation, might as well open up about your past rendezvous, right? Next, I got The Haunting by Natasha Preston. I have written off this author because Natasha Preston writes really addicting YA thrillers that I've enjoyed until the endings, which are always so unsatisfying. So I try not to read her books, even if the premise intrigues me. But out of her more recent releases, this one seems to be better received. So I'm really hoping that Natasha Preston maybe listened to her readers and wrote an ending that didn't leave us wanting to pull our hair out. Contrary to the title, the synopsis doesn't really paint the story out to be a paranormal thriller, but rather a story about this girl whose ex-boyfriend's father was a serial killer until he got arrested. But then copycat killings start popping up and the story unfolds. I believe this takes place on Halloween, so I'll probably save this till then. And then lastly, I picked up Scythe by Neil Shusterman. Also, I've never noticed until I actually bought it that this is a person. For the longest time, I thought that this was a head and this is the tail. I don't know. It could be a reversible image. In this world, humanity has conquered death, and the only ones who can end a life are scythes, and they do so to control the size of the population. This is the scythe, by the way. This is a scythe, but like, this is a scythe. Right. We follow two apprentice scythes, where by the end of their training, one will become a full-fledged scythe and the other will be subjected to death. But I believe there's some type of romance or friendship that forms between the two, which obviously makes things a bit sticky. This has been one of those novels that has been on my bucket list to read, so I'm excited to see what all the hype's been about. I hope you enjoyed that little detour for our book haul, but let's get back to what this video is actually about. I started Just for the Summer last night and am about 30 pages in. This book literally starts with my favorite subreddit, so off to a good start. And in this thread, it is revealed that our male love interest, Justin, has this problem where every woman he dates finds their soulmate the minute they break up. Our female MC, Emma, sees this thread and is like, oh my god, same. And so over the book, they decide, I haven't gotten there yet, but they decide to date each other to cancel out each other's curses, because no way would they actually develop feelings for each other in the process. Man, Abby Jimenez just knows how to hit you in the heart. I'll be reading along, laughing, and then all of a sudden, jaw drops, hits the floor. But I think that is what makes Abby Jimenez novels so great. They're always emotional, but funny and sweet at the same time. I will say Emma's not my favorite character, especially compared to Justin. She is very closed off, but really Abby Jimenez men are built differently, so what did I expect? They almost lean towards being too perfect, like unrealistically perfect, but sometimes that's what I want. Overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to read some more of it in between the schoolwork I'm working on, so I'll update you guys then. Welcome to another Late Night with Sara update. I'm now 150 pages in. I get why Emma's detached due to her past, but because we have this separation between us and her character, we don't really know her. And if anybody else but Abby Jimenez wrote this kind of character, I'd probably be more annoyed. But I think what Abby Jimenez is trying to do is show that Emma isn't even aware on a subconscious level that she is distancing herself. I like her character enough, but I'm just kind of frustrated with how unself-aware she is. I'm also worried that we're never truly going to get to know her character, or if we do, it will be at the end of the book, but then we'll be done with it. So it's like, was there even a point to all that? Justin, on the other hand, still love him. He is hilarious. The definition of a golden retriever. Oh, I also found the connection between this book and the other books in the Part of Your World standalone series. There's a few loose connections, but in particular, a side character from one of the novels is also a side character in here. I'm not saying who it is because I want you to discover that for yourself, but be on the lookout for that character. It's a few days later. Yesterday, I binged Just for the Summer and finished it. Justin is so real. On page page 167 he goes, "I do love Trader Joe's," I said, smiling at the bag. "Nothing like a grocery store that makes you have to visit another grocery store right after." I mean, he's got a point. This morning, I went to get my blood drawn, thinking that I wouldn't almost pass out this time, but then being proven wrong. Sat in my car nauseous with the AC blasting for like 30 minutes afterwards. You know, just typical things, really. Drove home and here we are. Let's talk about Just for the Summer. Earlier in this book, I thought there were just going to be like a few references to the other books in this standalone series. No, this series is like a whole multiverse, and in this book, all the other books come together at the end. It was so beautiful. I loved it so much. This was a perfect summary romance. Not a 5-star. I'm going to give this 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed it. The more I read of it, the more I wanted to keep reading. I've really already discussed my grievances, mostly with Emma's character, and I hate that I feel this way. I hate to hate on women. She's fine. She's just more so like a caricature. I definitely would recommend this though. However, you must read the other books in the series to be able to appreciate the story fully. We did not get to all 4 books I wanted to in this video, but I think I read a good amount, especially considering that I had to finish up some work for the classes that I was taking this summer. This is my last week, so my summer has finally started. Yes, I'm so happy. For a quick overview of the books I read in this video, Tomorrow, I gave 4.5 stars. Veronica Ruiz Breaks the Bank, I gave 5 stars. And Just for the Summer, again, I gave 4.25 stars. Now the question is, can I trust my reading taste? I'm going to say for the most part, yes, but also no. Yes, in that I did give every book in this video that I expected to love above a 4-star, which I view as a success. No, in that my ability to predict a 5-star read is still questionable, probably because there's so much to a 5-star read. There's so much that goes into a book being 5 stars that can't be captured in a single synopsis on the back of a book. For me at least, I tend to give my very selective 5-star rating to like the most unexpected books. I'm looking at you, Fourth Wing. There it is, okay. But I would like to think, definitely not biased at all, that I'm pretty good at being able to pick books that I enjoy. And that's definitely a skill that you just get better at the more you read and the more you come to understand your reading taste. Before we go, a quick update on my flamingo. So far I've made the body, the head, and 1 out of the 2 wings. Again, thank you so much Skillshare for sponsoring this video. The link to receive a 1-month free trial is in the description. Yeah, that's going to be it for this reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did and want to see more, let me know what other types of reading vlogs you'd like to see down in the comments. I love filming a reading vlog. It's just a commitment, at least a week-long commitment. And that's before all the editing and everything else that goes into it. If you did enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help me my channel out a lot. You can also comment, interact, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I hope y'all are having a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.